Welcome back, everybody, to another episode prediction video here on my channel for this week's up-and-coming episode of The Walking Dead. This is The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 11, entitled Knots Untie. Now, I am actually really excited for this episode, because one of the reasons, for starters, we see in the promo that we get the impression of Jesus leading our group, you know, Rick and Glenn and Daryl, Michonne, everybody like that, everybody that we care about, leading our group to his apparent safe zone. You know, he's at Alexandria right now as a prisoner. Well, he was at least supposed to be. You know, at the end of last episode, obviously we seen him in Rick and Michonne's room, you know, after they were done doing their thing and they were just laying, you know, in bed, completely nude. And he sort of came in and was like, Rick, wake up. And they obviously arose from their slumber and, you know, with weapons ready and everything like that. And that's how that's how the episode left off. Now, if you guys want to see my episode review and everything like that of last episode, which was episode 10, The Next World, feel free to go check it out. It was posted back on Monday, so it'll be on my channel. Go check it out if you guys want to. But nonetheless, this episode I am very excited for because, first of all, we get to see more of Jesus, which is a character that I've wanted to see in the Walking Dead TV show for quite a while, guys. I follow the comic book very closely. I get every single volume of The Walking Dead as it comes out. I don't buy the issues, I buy the volumes, so I get a little bit behind, but, you know, I find it honestly cheaper if I buy the volumes like that. You know, twice, maybe 3 times a year, rather than, you know, buying an issue of The Walking Dead comic book. Which, honestly, in my hometown of St. John, New Brunswick, there's not really any comic book places that sell the issues, and, you know, you could get the issues day one, stuff like that. So I'd rather buy the volumes, in my personal opinion, anyway. But today's video is not about the comic books. It's about this episode. So Season 6, Episode 11, entitled Knots Untie. Now, as always, I'm going to go over the synopsis here, and that goes as follows. You guys can follow along on AMC.com as well if you guys want to read the synopsis. But it's basically saying, Knots Untie after Rick comes to the realization that the Alexandria safe zone might not be as safe as he thought. Decisions must be made about where to go from here. Okay, so something might happen that, you know, it gets maybe broken into, maybe more walkers, you know, something like that. We honestly don't know. We do see in a promo, we see something going on with Glenn and Maggie, you know, something happening in the background with Glenn and Maggie. They're, you know, talking. There's 2 sneak peeks in a promo. Links will be down in the description if you guys want to, you know, go check those promos out and the sneak peeks and everything like that. There's 2 sneak peeks, and we'll go over those briefly as well. But basically, this episode, I predict, is going to be on Jesus sort of convincing Rick's group that he has a place of his own, you know, for his group and his friends, and he does. Spoiler alert, if anybody does not want to know about, you know, what I think happens in this episode, obviously things differ from the comic books quite a bit here in the TV show, but they usually try to stick as close to it as possible, you know, without being too predictable. So I believe Jesus is finally going to show them the hilltop. He's going to introduce them to the hilltop, which is actually a community that's called the Hilltop. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is where Jesus lives, and, you know, an entire other group of, you know, civilians and just people who are surviving and stuff like that. Now, Hilltop people, they do have their people that, you know about the zombie apocalypse, but then they also have the weaker people that sort of stay behind the walls and, you know, keep track of things and everything like that from behind the walls. You know what I mean? Sort of like Alexandria does. You know, we have Rick and his group and, you know, some other people from Alexandria that has joined in with, you know, the fight on being on the outside and stuff like that. But then you have the weaker people like the veterinarian. Or, I guess she's not a veterinarian. She was a doctor. She was supposed to become a doctor. I don't really remember her name right now. You know, the doctor that, you know, fixed Carl's eye. Yeah, I'm coming to a blank, drawing a blank here. But anyway, we got her and stuff like that. And obviously there's going to be people behind the walls of the hilltop that are going to be doing those things as well. But at least it's not the entire group. Like when Rick first got to Alexandria, you know, that entire group had no idea, you know, what they were doing or what was going on and everything like that. They were just behind the walls, safe. And that's pretty much the gist of it. But with Jesus' group, for starters, they have Jesus, which one of the main characters of The Walking Dead in the shortcoming. And can't wait to see more of him, man. He really does turn into a main character, and he's going to be a series regular, unless they plan on doing something with him, which I hope that they don't, because Jesus is amazing, and you need to see more of him. If you guys don't read the comic book, you need to see more of him. You know what I mean? If you never plan on reading the comic book, you need to see more of him. And it's absolutely ridiculous how much of a key character that he becomes. You know, he basically becomes almost Rick's right-hand man in the comic book. And obviously, as of right now, that is, Daryl, stuff like that. I mean, honestly, Rick doesn't really have a right-hand man. I mean, if there was one, it would be Daryl. But at the same time, there's, Glenn, there's Michonne, there's Maggie, stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited to see what they finally do with Jesus. And the fact that I think Jesus is going to introduce them to his group at the hilltop and everything like that, because something I believe is going to happen at Alexandria. For starters, judging from the synopsis, but also judging from this one sneak peek, that something was clearly going on, and we'll talk about that. Okay? So in that sneak peek, we get to see Maggie basically doing some gardening. Okay? We get to see her sort of planting, I believe it was tomatoes at the time. Putting some sticks, looks like some PVC piping and everything like that up in the air to basically tie them together and, to not let them spread so far. You know what I mean? They're trying to keep it controlled with the planting of the tomatoes and everything like that. And she looks like she's sort of getting depressed that she hasn't seen a spud yet or, anything grow whatsoever. And Glenn basically comes over, helps her finish up, and basically says, we're going to be all right. They will grow. And, we're going to be fine and everything like that. Just sort of reassuring her, being the husband that he is, right? Well, when that happens, there's something that goes on behind them. And they both take notice, and it looks like Abraham and one other person. I'm not sure who it is, because, like I said, it was both from behind. I just assume that it's Abraham, because he obviously has orange hair. The khaki pants and, stuff like that, the gloves, whatever. They run into a house, obviously looking concerned, and the score starts to play. If you guys don't know what a score is, basically means the background music that sort of intensifies everything in a show or in a movie, stuff like that. That's what the score means. And it gets more intense, you know what I mean? The music starts to pick up, and that's where the sneak peek cuts. So I believe something is happening, whether or not they're just taking notice of maybe Jesus, getting out. That could be as well. So we really don't know. Another sneak peek, brief, not too important. It was actually Sasha and Abraham talking, I believe, inside the walls, maybe about to go outside, something like that. And they're just talking about, just general stuff. And Sasha brings up the fact that she actually got transferred to another part on the wall. And Abraham is now going to be partnered up with Eugene to go, basically keep an eye on the outskirts of the wall, do perimeter checks, stuff like that, right? Do a watch, basically. And if they're going anywhere like they did with the comic books, I'm not going to spoil anything because it's big, you know what I mean? But I all I'm saying is I hope they go a different route this time with Abraham. That's all I can say. So the fact that he's finally going to be pairing up with Eugene to go on watches sort of concerns me, but at the same time, they could definitely do a different and better path, in my personal opinion, which I hope they do. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, comment it down below. If you guys don't want any spoilers or anything like that, don't look in the comments. Let's just have a little bit of a discussion down there with that. I want to keep it out of the video, and let's talk about it down below. As far as everything else that happens in the promo, like I said, we see Rick's group sort of pack up, get into an RV, it looks like, and sort of hit the road. Daryl's driving. They come across an overturned car that does not look good, and they start getting out. They start looking concerned. Jesus is sort of, leading them. Obviously, he's the one taking them to their, his hilltop is like what I said. That's what I assume. He said, your world's about to get a whole lot bigger and, stuff like that. So I'm very, very excited. Rick's still looking sort of, concerned and everything like that with, equal right, you know what I mean? He doesn't think Jesus is a bad guy, you know what I mean? Because he had a weapon on him the entire time, you know, when obviously Daryl and Rick were chasing after him. And the only time he ever pulled it was to save Daryl's life from a walker. And, yeah, like I said, you know he's not a bad guy. He could have came up behind him, could have shot them both, you know, when he was obviously trying to steal that truck. He just wanted the food for his friends. He wanted it for his family. And I personally completely understand that, and I think Rick does as well. But he's still sort of keeping his guard up because he's come across so many people that has led him, you know, to believe that there's a sanctuary, that there's a safe zone. Like, for example, Terminus. And it all turns out to be a lie in the end. And I understand why he's always putting his guard up. I do. I completely understand it. And, you know, there's been just... There's so much shit that has happened to him that he doesn't take chances anymore. You know, we get to see him talk about that in the beginning of the season. In season 6, you know, when he's talking to Morgan, when Morgan first came back, it was in the black and white, stuff like that. We get to see him, you know, basically say, you know, I don't take chances anymore. And Morgan basically says, you know, you shouldn't have to. So other than that, like I said, I think that they're going to be, you know, obviously going to the hilltop, and I cannot wait to see the hilltop, what that set sort of looks like. Very, very excited for that. Whether or not we'll get there this episode, I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. They're definitely hitting there, but that's the question. Will they get there this episode? Will they get there at the end? Will they be pulling up like at the end? What are they going to come across? How long are they going to stay at Alexandria in the episode before they start taking off? These are all questions that need answering, and I guess we'll find out on Sunday. So that is pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. It was a shorter one, and I do apologize for that. But we were giving a lot of info and stuff like that. I could elaborate on some things that happened in the comic book, but as far as I'm concerned, Jesus is leading them to the hilltop, and let me reassure you guys, spoilers, he is a good guy. Okay? He is a good guy, and they do end up being friends. You know, he turns out to be Rick's right-hand man. I've already told you that. And, I mean, it doesn't get any more clear. You know what I mean? So, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, let me know by hitting the video up with a like and sharing it around with your friends. And comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think is going to happen in this episode. If you guys read the comic book. If not, you know, whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.